Okay. Okay. Okay, making a cost. Okay, so good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. We have our faculty here. She will be taking us through fundraising within the domain of grant, DFI, as well as the government. So let me welcome Victoria Madedor. So thank you so much. I think if it's possible, you could just change your name so that, okay, she has already done that. So please take over. So usually, because your course has not been delivered, of course, we'll be doing that hopefully the next edition. You could just give us a maybe 10 minutes overview of the fundraising space in the granting development finance institution as well as the government space. Then after that, we take question and answer. So thank you and welcome to Tekedia Live for Tekedia Institute. Thank you so much. Yeah, am I audible? You hear us, please?
Yes, I do. Thank you so much.
No, very audible, Professor.
Yes, okay. I just want to be sure that I'm audible. So you could go ahead. I know we have not taken your class. Don't worry. The reason why we actually asked you to come very early is just because a lot of our members ask questions within the space of granting. And when the professionals, Aziz told us that we cannot just only be focusing on venture capitalists, private equity firms, that there is also an opportunity there that is latent, which is grant. So we say, let's bring you in just to share with us the tips, share with us also where these grants are, as well as help us to understand the processes, especially in the development finance institutions, as well as the government space. So we understand you are coming here on your personal capacity, so you don't have to go too deep into what your institution does. And so thank you so much, Ms. Madedor. Thank you so much for coming to Tekedia Live. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a warm welcome from the Tekedia community. I'm super excited to be here. It's indeed a pleasure to be among great minds. So today we'll be talking about fundraising. Fundraising for me is an act in itself. It's the ability for you to tell your story to funders, be it venture capitalists, development partners, or any kind of fund owner. One thing I have observed in my few years as a fundraiser is the inability of most entrepreneurs to tell their story because their story is not properly arranged. So when you start your business from a point of try and error, you do not put down the processes for which it is required to achieve a certain goal. I call that process operational integrity. What is operational integrity? Why do you need operational integrity in raising funds? That operational integrity is what your story is, the backbone of your story. I will use practical examples.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry, it's muted, please. Sorry, don't know how that happened.
I will use practical examples in talking about operational integrity. Although I have, I've presented a slide, but I do not like speaking with slides so that we have a proper interaction. So the first thing I would like to do is to find out how many of us understand the difference in the development space, development partners and development financial institutions. How many of us know when to meet each of these funders? If you could just type that in the chat box to tell me you have raised funds before or you have not raised funds before, just put it in the chat box. Yes, you have raised fund. No, you have not raised fund. And beside hyphen, yes, DFI as hyphen debt, hyphen grant, or hyphen equity. So that will help me to do my analysis properly or present the acts properly. So there are basic guiding principles. Every funder wants to understand from point A to point Z how your operations work, how your business is structured. Point A, you know where to source your raw materials from. You have a contract with your raw material suppliers. You have been able to capture that space where you're going to source your raw material from. If you are in the processing space, you're a manufacturer. If you are an advocate, you know where to get your data from. I mean, field data, that is your raw material. The raw data from the field, from the people that you intend to impact. What exactly are their needs? How did you come to the conclusion that this is the gap you want to fulfill? Yes, it is good to have your literatures. You've read a lot of literatures online that says, oh, there's a gap, there's a need, and you want to fulfill that need. However, how you fulfill that need, the structure, the step-by-step structure in fulfilling that need matters. How you write them down matters a whole lot. So you look at your raw materials, you've been able to analyze it. You look at who are going to be your logistic partners. Are you going to have contracts with them? Is it necessary? Why is it necessary to have a contract? What is the margin it's going to take away from your gross profits? How is it going to affect your bottom line? Then you talk about who are going to be your packaging partner if you are in the processing, the manufacturing sector. You're processing. Who is going to give you your packaging material? Who is your business advisor? Who are you working with that will help you channel and structure your business such that it is well represented? Then you ask yourself again, all this information I'm talking about, you have to write them clearly out to say, this is my raw material supplier, my logistic partner, my distributors, those that are going to help me in market penetration. These are my packaging partners if we are in the processing, if you are in advocacy or education. These are what I call my equity partners, my brand equity partners, the people that you will be working with in such a way that they use their influence. If you say, for example, in the agribusiness sector, you say, oh, my raw material supplier is animal care. I'm using animal care feeds. Everybody will listen to you because they know that those people have track record. And you say, oh, I have a contract with them for them to supply me the feeds that I'll be using in my poultry farm. Or the person that I'm going to use as my digital marketing team is Shola Animashao, hypothetically. You know that he already has a name in the digital marketing scheme sector as your partner. He brings his brand to the table for which you will be leveraging on. Fund owners want to see those kind of strategic partnerships. These these are critical steps to take. I'm going to launch the slides for us to look at the steps and analyze them step by step. Because as from the pool that I have seen right now, most of us have not raised funds before. I've only seen, most people have not raised funds before, so that I can direct my conversation properly. So Prof, please, can I share my screen?
Yes, please go ahead. You're actually a co-host here. Go ahead, just click
Yes,
share screen. Yeah, you
Yes.
can, please. Just click share screen, very close to where you have reactions. Okay, good. Ariza, are you there? Yes, okay, good, thank you.
Oh, yes, I am, sir.
Okay,
Active now.
Okay, so
yeah, we can see your screen, ma'am.
thank you. So the biggest problem most of us have is who to and how to raise funds. Sorry. Although there are lots of funding partners out there, like I said, there's a difference between development partners and development financial institutions. Development partners are those grant providers, the likes of the USAID, Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition, while the development financial institutions are the likes of Bank of Industry, Bank of Agriculture, AFC, Afri-Exim, and the rest. When you want to start your fundraising drive, there are some things that you need to look out for. One, what is the tenor of the funds? If it is a grant, how long will it take for? Is it stated in the grant proposal for your application? How long is the implementation period? Is it 6 months? Is it 1 year? Is it 2 years? Because grants are usually short-term facilities. They want to see implementation, a quick turnaround time. They want to see implementation as soon as possible. What do you want to use the fund for? Is it for working capital or is it for term loan? Now, the major issues we have in Nigeria, I'm supposing that most of us in the Tekedia community are mostly Nigerians. Most Nigerians that I have worked with, there is a mismatch of funding. They will take overdraft to buy equipment. That, don't worry, by the time I do a quick turnaround, I'll be able to pay off. Or go and get microfinance facility because they don't know where to get collateral from, and the major development partners, financial institutions, they would not give you facility without collateral. After some months, they begin to have issues with their credibility. Who are you going to get term loans from? What is their interest rates? See, these things I'm stating, they look like, oh, we know about it already, but they're very critical, because if you do not calculate each of these and put them properly, outline them properly, you will be approaching the wrong funder. And when you approach the wrong funder, you feel frustrated. Like, oh, these people do not want to fund. They are just there to make a whole lot of noise. Because that's the feedback I get from most people. Until we start having a one-on-one conversation, I say, no, you are approaching the wrong person for this particular funding. What kind of interest rates do they offer? On the back of an offer letter, you will see interest rates 17% per annum. By the time you start repaying, you'll be surprised that you are actually repaying 25, 26%, because there are other associated interest rates, which you thought on the face value, you thought it was a one-off fee. Only when you start paying, you start understanding terms like 1% flats on the anniversary, 1% flat, floating, 1% flat. So they use, each bank have different terminology to mean 1% per annum in addition to your 17% or whatever percent they are offering you as interest rates. What are the associated fees? So when you aggregate it over the period of the life of the loan, if it's 2 years, 5 years, 7 years, how does it affect, what is the cumulated fee? How does it affect your bottom line? Where do you get collateral from? How can you collateralize if you do not have for land and building, or you do not have treasury bills? What are the alternatives for collateralization? These are some of the things I will be talking about today. For whether it's a grant or a DFI fund, you must be in a bankable position. That's why I talked about operational integrity. If your business has operational integrity, which is I'm able to see from point A to point Z, the people you are going to be working with, how you're working, you're going to be working to implement it. And also you already have not the literature understanding of your demand, but you have proven the concept at a small scale that this is the concept I'm working on. Let me give hypothetically, okay. I have an NGO called Slum Inclusion, right? And what we do, before we went live, we tested the concept to see if it will work. Farmers that are not able to sell their produce, connect them to other non-governmental institutions that want to give food items to families in slum areas. So we're helping the farmers to create markets, at the same time helping the non-governmental institutions to get produce, for healthy produce for these families at a very low interest cost. So they're getting it straight from the farm. Pricing is cheaper than what they will get from the open market, or get an aggregator to help them. So it comes at zero cost. Now we have proven the concept. We've shown that this is the number of farmers that always have issues when it comes to market penetration. You have the data for that. These are the collaborators, the NGOs that are used to giving out food items to people in the slum, to people that are orphanage homes, people with disabilities. They provide them with food items. These are their specialization. These are the people, I've contacted them, I have tested the water with them, and they are demanding more. My demand has grown from 10% month on month to 20% by the 4th month. It means that there is a market. I've proven that this concept works. This concept is acceptable by both parties, both implementing parties, my source of raw materials and my market. However, this is the social impact it has, because I'm ensuring that the beneficiaries are having nutritional food. Most grant funds, they're interested in what is the social impact. You must be able to articulate that very well. There's a rating for it. They have it is a point-based rating. What is the social impact for women, for children, for youth? Before you talk about for the rest of the community as a whole. Who are your target markets with this new funding? Is it the same market that you've been working with, or it is a new market you are trying to open? And why do you want to open that new market? Have you tested the waters? Nobody wants to give you their fund to do try and error. No, you have tried with your fund to an extent, but now you want to enter into the market to try it in a bigger scale, and you have data to back that particular concept. So some of the basic indicators that most funders want to see is, what is your management structure? Who are the people that have the skill sets within your organization that they can trust will implement. They have historicals of implementation. One thing I always suggest is, as an entrepreneur, please always do credit search for yourself. Always check, because there are times you will be shocked. One bank, hypothetically, EcoBank will be owing you'll be owing EcoBank 2 naira, and it will be reading as derogatory loan. So you'll be going to financial institutions or development partners, and they check your historical and see that you have derogatory loan. They are not obligated to tell you. They will just keep in view, or they just tell you that you do not meet the requirement because your credit rating is low. Always, it takes 5,000 naira to do your credit search and saves you a lot of trouble. You need to understand what is the return on investment. Yes, you have checked a lot of business plan, and that is what kills most businesses in Nigeria, because they go online, download business plans. In fact, they are very used to downloading free business plans. And there are some experts that carry business plans and sell this business plan. Business plans, they are fantastic to you. But you see, financial institutions, they just use it as a guide. It does not impact significantly the decision that they want to make, because it is your historical that is supposed to be reflected in your business plan. Your historical reflects to project your future. What is your historical, where you're coming from? You say, oh, I'm a startup business. Institutions do not support startup business. They support startup, but there are different phases of startups. If you have not proven your concept, you are in the idea stage. Once you prove your concept, you are in the pre-startup stage. By the time you're starting up, you have what we call statement of affairs. That I have proven my concept, I have been able to generate some form of revenue, very minimal, insignificant revenue, but I generated it because people were able to relate with my product, whether it is advocacy product, whether it is a manufacturing product or an education product. What is the current return on investment in terms of the industry standard? What will be your return on investment? How does it compare? It doesn't necessarily have to match, but it has to be justified that this is why my return on investment is low, because I'm paying more insurance premium to cover my goods in transit, to cover my goods in the warehouse, or to cover my produce that are in the farm, or to cover my employees' workman insurance. This is why my return on investment is impacted. These are some of the things most grant providers want to see. They want to see how you're able to relate your resources with your employees, your human resources, and your material resources, and how does this two impact the society. Your cash flow analysis. Most times we present business plans, and when you start having the conversation with the entrepreneur, you realize that they do not understand what the cash flow requirement is. When discussing with funders, you must come from the point of knowledge, not just technical knowledge that I know I can, yes, but you must come from the knowledge that, yes, I have the technical expertise to implement this project. However, I also have some level of understanding of the financial cycle, the life cycle of the product. That is why I am giving 10 days credits to my distributors, or I'm giving a forward payment to my vendors. I've also been able to account put into consideration that I would have 30 days cycle for which my money have made provision in my plan to have liquidity of up to 60 days. Peradventure, there is any break in the 30-day cycle and my payables do not come before I expect them to arrive, I'll be able to make up for it with my internally generated funds. So I have cash that will cover production up to 60 days. However, I'm only giving 30 days credits in my books. With my vendors in my contract, my credit days is actually 15 days. So I'm giving them a grace period of an additional 15 days. When you're having this kind of conversation, the funder will say, okay, yes, this person is prepared. This person knows that the market is not as it looks like in paperwork, because there are bound to be disappointments. You want to, I've talked about insurance. You have to have the right accreditation. If you are, okay, so you have the Tekedia community. Tekedia community also have a brand equity in itself, because the founder is well known to be in the society in terms of in the educational space. So whenever he's talking from a point of authority. He's talking from a point of knowledge, and he also understands the impact it has, his resources has on the bottom of the pyramid. He is worked with those on the premium scale, and now he's coming to bring the same knowledge to those at the bottom of the pyramid. And this is the way he's structuring it. That's why the likes of the Amazon and other people are able to partner with him to say, yes, you have what it takes, because as an individual, he's a brand in himself. So that is the kind of brand equity we are talking about. Have you created that kind of brand equity in the society, that when I'm analyzing a grant, I'm saying, okay, what is the technical knowledge of this and managerial skill of this individual? I'm able to give you a point base to say, you have the highest point, or you have an average point, or you do not have that kind of experience to implement that project. So for those that are in the startup phase, I always say, record all your private consultation. Any conversation you are having, you need to record them. Have those in a proper bookkeeping structure. There are a lot of softwares that you can use to record all these conversations, to say, this is what my legal advisor told me. This is why I should use business name instead of limited liability, or instead of limited liability, or instead of limited by guarantee, or a non-governmental organization entirely. These are the advantages. These are the tax requirements. These are the incentives that I would have. I think I will send that document after for you to understand the taxation and what kind of business you need to register if you are in a particular sector. Proper data collection so that you can generate your statement of affairs. I've talked about it before. Once you do your proof of concept, you then have enough information, data that you use to generate a statement of affairs. Then you are at the startup phase. So you must prove your concept before you say you are a startup. If you have not proven your concept, you are a pre-startup. You are still in the idea stage. My sincere apologies.
Faculty, actually, maybe in the next 2 minutes, we could go into question and answer. We know that these courses you are still preparing then hopefully in our next edition, you will now deliver a full course. So I think we've gotten so many insights, so we could actually move to question and answer maybe in the next 2 minutes. Thank you.
Sorry. Okay, so I just wanted to give an insight of what documents are usually required, whether be it grant or any kind of facility that you want to access. You must have these documentations intact so that you are not thrown off balance. You are not complaining. Whether it is grant, you must have all your legal documentation. You must be registered. And you must also look at what kind of registration they are looking at. For most DFIs, as a business name, you can only access not more than 10 million naira. For grants, they prefer you to be a limited liability so that you're an entity in itself. So they look at all those. So you need to understand what these grant providers want to see. You must ensure that you are in good standing with the law, with your tax clearance, annual return. Even as a startup, we have what we call nominal tax. We have what we call nominal filing of returns. You have your business plan properly structured. Your business plan is not generic. It must be built to purpose. Means of identification and your bank verification number is very essential now, because most people will go and check whether you are in good standing.
In the slide show mode.
I will talk about collateral, where the people you need to meet when it comes to collateralization. If you are a startup and you do not have collateral, if you are in the agric space, you can use agric, the African guaranteeing funds. They can guarantee you up to 50%. You can use infra credits in whatever space you are in. Infra credit will guarantee you 100%. So you do not need to break your head about having land and building with C of O. That's what most people complain, that they're asking me to bring my great-grandmother. You can also use National Collateral Registry. With the National Collateral Registry, you can access funds from any development financial institution. Nexim also have their own guaranteeing scheme. Development Bank of Nigeria has their guaranteeing scheme. So the advantage of the National Collateral Registry is that you register your floating assets, like your jewelries, your cars, your televisions, your deep freezers, any floating assets that can be numbered and tracked, they will register it for you. They already have relationship with Alaba Boys. So if they register your TV, you have a curved TV that is worth 1 million naira. Once it is registered, Alaba Boys already know the number. You cannot sell it to them. Even when you sell it to other people, they have a way of tracking these things. They've developed software that allows them to track every single movement of your floating assets. That's for the National Collateral Registry. I have listed some of the grant funds that I have worked with. And I've also talked about what they are interested in. They're interested in the value that you're adding, the impact that you're bringing to the table the social impact you're bringing to the table in your business, whether in what kind of business, whether it's advocacy or whether it is manufacturing itself or education. So I will use a typical example, which is the Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition. If you are going to seek grant from them, it has to speak to nutritional value. It must not have anti-nutritional properties. No matter how good your product is, you must put into consideration those facts. Ford Foundation it must speak into the health and well-being of women and children. Very critical. How does your product or whatever your venture speaks to the well-being of women and children? So those are some of the critical things you need to look at. Gate Foundation also provides some form of guarantee. So what are you looking at? Are you looking for the guarantee itself, or you're looking for the cash grants? So there are different kinds of grants. You have the cash grant, you have the guarantee grant, then you also have the technical grant. So they can provide you technical assistance up to a tune of $1 million. You are not going to get the $1 million. So when you're applying for grants, also find out, is it for technical assistance, or is it for guarantee, or is it for cash purpose? So I've listed some of the debt funders also that I have worked with, and both locally and internationally, and how they have funded businesses based on these criteria that I have talked about earlier on. So I will share this slide because it has more details for you to understand. It also has the link for the National Collateral Registry, which is the best option at the moment because it's cheaper to access. For grants, I would say again and again, understand what they seek to address. Grant funds are dedicated to address a particular problem, and your project or your venture must speak to those funds, to those objectives of the fund. Thank you very much for having me this morning. I am indeed grateful.
Yes, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, faculty. So we'll be going straight to question and answer. This is arranging. Okay. We have some hands up already and some comments and a bit of questions on the chat. I would just quickly, I think someone is asking if you would share the slide. I don't know. Okay.
Yes, I will share the slide.
We will share that through the board. I think she just made that point quickly. She has already said that, so we'll do that on the board.
Yes. Okay, so Kelechi, go ahead. And after that, we'll have Patrick. Kelechi, go ahead.
I don't think we can hear him.
Okay. Hello.
Okay, go ahead, Kelechi,
Hello.
please.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, Kelechi, you can hear you. Go ahead and speak, please.
Hello.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello. Hello. Okay. Sir. So, okay, my question is this, man. Thank you for this lecture this morning. I want in a service, we render service to our clients, and most times when you want to apply for a loan, you find it difficult, and maybe your account is also doing extremely well. You see in the condition of collateral, you have collateral to give, but most times maybe your properties, you don't have a C of O. What do you advise one to do? What will be your advice? But in terms of your account is doing well. Account is doing well. What will be your advice, ma'am?
Thank you very much. Like I said, it is not just about your revenue, how well your revenue is doing, or your financials are doing, but it's how well you can tell your story and who are you approaching. the institution you're approaching, let's say you're approaching a commercial bank, right? Because you are in the service sector, you're approaching a commercial bank for a short-term facility. They have requested for collateralization. You do not have C of O. What you can do is you can approach InfraCredit to provide you with a guarantee, or you can approach the National Collateral Registry to onboard your assets so that they can provide what we call a bankable instrument that is used as guarantee for your funds. Thirdly, have you checked your credit rating, your credit worthiness, that one commercial bank or institution has not classified your facility long ago that you cannot remember as derogatory? Because most things that happen in the financial sector, because of poor customer service, they are not able to tell you some of these things and sit you down to explain what is actually happening with your facility, why you're not getting the facility. Because you are speaking with marketers, most times they'll just say, we are working on it, we're working on it. But find out from them or do your own search to see whether your business is still registered at CAC. Because if you have not been filing your annual returns and your tax clearance for more than 3 years, it will be knocked off from the CAC system. Check your credit rating also to see whether you are not classified, your BVN is not classified as a non-performing facility, as it were. So if you can clarify those 2 things, then I'm sure we'll be able to tell your story from end to end, how your business is working. And you need to also show transparency in your business to say, this is where I source from. This is the quantity I source from. Give in your proposal or your application to the bank, you need to give some enriching details of the service you provide in terms of the demand and the supply, so they can see where their money is going to and how their money will come back to them.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
So we'll just take the next question from Patrick.
Good morning. Good morning, Victoria.
Good morning, sir.
That was an awesome blockbuster. I heard all the things that I really, my ear is itching to hear. I really want to appreciate you and appreciate Paul for bringing you to this forum.
Sorry, I cannot hear, please.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. Like I said, I want to appreciate you for this incredible lecture. Absolutely very enriching. Hello. Kai, I'm off. Okay. Right. My name is Patrick Odiegu. I'm a miner. And as everybody knows, it's extremely difficult for mining company, especially indigenous mining company, to access funds. Mining being what it is, most banks are not actually willing to use reserve-based lending, which is really the standard globally. And they put a lot of doubts on the data that emanates from Nigerian geologists, which actually makes it even more difficult for some of us that are trying to domicile our production or our ownership to Nigerians. You know, we don't want to really allow the foreigners, the so-called Chinese, to be taking advantage of our natural resources, which actually can be used to produce finished products. So I really want to know if you provide any kind of service for additionally to enable companies that are really willing to raise funds to be able to, get their operation ongoing. So I want to know if you provide that kind of service, because I could see that you're quite detailed and you are very experienced in what you're saying. So how can you be able to help companies such as ours that have done a little bit, that really needed a little push, just a little nudge? Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your question. Yes, the mining sector has really suffered when it comes to fundraising because of credibility issues. I have raised funds for 3 mining companies. One of them, we had to classify the facility. That means it could not perform. Fortunately, we got someone else to buy it. However, the reason for this, issues, credibility issues when it comes to mining is the fact that there are no guaranteed off-takers. When miners present their story, they present it as, we know that people will build, for example, those that mine granite, people will build, so we will sell to these people. But if you come with offtake, that's how I've been able to raise funds for the 3 organizations I have helped. You come with offtake agreement to say, Julius Berger will collect 30 tons. This is the contract from me every week, 30 tons of granite, hypothetically. I would also be working with Biden Moyet. They are a real estate company that will be taking, they have a contract with Slumbridge to build a housing for their staff, build staff quarters for their employees. You give me 4 of this kind of well-structured contracts to say, these are my off-takers. I will not be interested in your reserve because your reserve is not owned by you. The reserve is owned by the government. They only gave you license to operate. So they can revoke that license any day, anytime. However, with your contract, I am sure that even if they revoke the license from you, if they give the license to someone else, as a funder, I can discuss with that person that will be taken to collaborate with you because of, on the strength of your contracts with these brands. That's the brand equity we're talking about. I hope that answers your question, sir.
Yes, and in fact, you said something that is actually pivot. It's very, very important what you just said. In my own case, let me personalize it. I have an off-taker that is actually the 3rd world biggest off-taker of lead zinc. They have an open ticket. So maybe I'm meeting the wrong banks. I went to Nexim Bank thinking that they're any better. They gave me a term sheet demanding bank guarantee. I went to Stanbic IBTC, let me mention them, and they gave me an offer letter. They knowing fully well that what I was actually looking for was bank guarantee. They in turn demanded bank guarantee. So
okay, Patrick. Yeah, sorry. Let's not interrupt you. What I would suggest you do. Our faculty is actually there in Abuja. Why not you just make an appointment, and you can go to her office. I don't know whether social distancing allows that, and then she can provide more structured this thing for you, just for time, as well as we don't want to put her on the spot because she's not representing her company here. So I want to balance it. But we'll make available her contact so that you can go to her. And I believe our faculty will allow that because she works for the Bank of Industry, ITC, so she can host you and provide more direction. All right, thanks. So Ariza, continue with other.
Thank you so much, Professor. Okay. Oh, so we go ahead with Maiwa. Maiwa Olubadi.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Madam Victoria, thanks so much for that insight. It was really a beautiful one, and it's opened our eyes to so many things. So mine is more like a comment. You know, you were saying when you were doing your presentation, so one of the things you said was why it's so hard for people to raise funds. I mean, because they don't tell a good story. They struggle with telling their stories. So my comment would be that maybe for those that are intending to raise funds, they can actually go to a place called, I think Lagos Business School has its Entrepreneurship Development Center, where they can, just take you through maybe 1, 2, or 3 weeks of intense coaching on how to, package yourself, how to tell a good story, how to understand your figures, your numbers, and even some VC companies, because I work in a VC firm, we have this mentorship scheme where, if you're trying to raise money from us, we tend to let you go through that stage where we work with professionals who can tutor you, help you understand your numbers, help you know how to tell the story, just put all those things together that would ensure that at the end of the day, you're not turned down and you're able to raise this money. So this is just an advice for those that are intending to raise funds. Please take time out to understand how to put the story together such that, you'll be sellable. There's no one you will pitch it to that will turn you down and you'll be able to raise the fund. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rom. If I would add to that also is that for every funder, you must tell your story to suit the funder. A VC, the story the VC wants to see is more about your bottom line, the impact and your bottom line. That's what they're looking at. So even if you put business plans that are very beautiful, the VC also do their own due diligence. So the more conservative you are, the better for you. For debt funders, they want to see end to end, the transparency, the way they will get their money back, repayment will be made. So you tell them the whole value chain. For grant provider, it's more about the impact. They're not interested in your bottom line. They're interested in the impact that you will be providing. So tell your story to meet the needs of the funder and know who your funder will be, because if you go to a Nexim, like Mr. Patrick went, Nexim is for export. If you are not exporting what you are mining, nobody will take you seriously in Nexim. They will just waste your time. If you come to Bank of Industry as you have a laundromat, hypothetically, you're providing a service that is not in the healthcare sector, Bank of Industry will not take you seriously because their mandate is for manufacturers and the healthcare sector, unless they have a managed fund that they are working on. And once it's exhausted, they no longer attend to those kind of projects. So know the bank, what their mandates are, and or the funders, what their mandates are, and approach them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, faculty. So I'll just take the question from the chat before we go ahead. Okay, so we have a question from Nancy. Please, Mark, can you tell us a little bit about the CBN 10 million healthcare funding? Would it be a wise decision for a startup in an idea phase to assess it? And would they be likely to get it? I know a pre-startup business that applied and they requested for collateral, and the startup could not access the loan. Please, can you talk a little bit about this kind of loan scheme? It's on the chat. Do I go again?
Okay, so for the CBN fund, I would say that it is not the best for you if you are at the idea stage. It's not that you would not get it, but you will be under pressure because you have not created a market. We're talking about healthcare sector. Yeah, healthcare sector is a very sensitive sector. It looks like everybody falls sick. Somebody must definitely walk in. But at the same time, for the healthcare sectors I've worked with, understanding your offering, if you are in the gynecology sector, we give birth a lot in Nigeria, so your market will sell. But however, if you are in a specialized sector of the healthcare, you must also, you have to say that, you have to state that. And most funders do not want to work with those in the specialized sector, because when they need to call in the facility, getting people to take over that facility becomes difficult. So I would say develop into a startup phase first before you access any kind of funding, including the CBN funding. In fact, CBN funding, they will ask you for historical. This current funding that is going on, they will ask you for your historical to see how your historical was impacted by the COVID pandemic. Thank you. I'm sorry, someone made a comment in the Mr. Olo. I'm sorry if I don't pronounce your name well. Akande. He said the more conservative you are with your figures, the better for you. This is the most controversial aspect of fundraising, as you get conflicting views on this. Yes. So if you come to a development financial institution anywhere in the world with your business plan, with your financials, they will do what we call sensitivity analysis. They will sensitize it. They will discount it by a particular percentage because they know that most entrepreneurs are fond of providing very rosy scenarios. So providing a scenario depending on your funder also. And if you provide a very rosy scenario for a venture capitalist, they will drill you to achieve that scenario. Then tomorrow you will say venture capitalists are they are sharks. But you were forgetting that when you were presenting the scenario, you presented a very beautiful, and attractive scenario.
Sorry about that.
No problem. So it depends on who your funders are actually. Your scenario really depends on who is funding you and their risk appetite. Development financial institutions, their risk appetites are low, so they don't expect your growth to be astronomical. If it is, they are happy, but however, they like organic. Yes, Bank of Industry is interested in the healthcare sector. In fact, they have a desk dedicated for the healthcare sector in the bank. And they have funded lots of healthcare businesses. As at the last 2019 portfolio, it was at almost 170 billion naira worth of funding to the healthcare sector in Nigeria. So if you are in the diagnostics sector, yes, BOI will fund you. Like I said, you need to have a statement of affairs to show your historicals on as a startup. You don't need an audited account, you just need statement of affairs. Thank you.
Okay, so let's just take the other questions on the chat also. Where will you advise a researcher to source funding for a project, preferably moving your ideas from laboratory to the market?
Sorry, I didn't get that, please.
Where would you advise a researcher to to source funding for a project, preferably when moving your ideas from the laboratory to the market?
So for a researcher, the best is grant funding, and there are a whole lot of them. If I know the name of the person, I can send you list of grant funders that are interested in research, in funding researches. So they don't, when funding research, it does not really matter about, okay, so what kind of research also matters? What kind of research matters? If you could tell me what kind of research you're looking at, if it is research for a new innovation, you're trying to get data to validate a new innovation. So it all depends on the kind of research, really. If I can get more information on it, then I can tell you where, but mostly grant funds are the best research. Thank you.
Okay, so Mohammed Adama, if you want to share more light so she can explain more, I think that window is open. But we'll go straight to those that have their hands up. So Stanley Agbonifo, go ahead. Stanley, are you there? Okay, let's take Nwachukwu. Nwachukwu, go ahead.
Hello.
Okay, who do we have? Stanley, okay. Stanley, go ahead.
Good day, everyone. And also, let me just go straight to thanks so much, faculty, for delivering a good presentation and also making us understand so much about how to go about getting funding. My question is, if you have for a company that have like a PO from a well-known organization in Nigeria to supply and execute a project. Now you've gone past the proposition, you've gotten the purchase order, and before they release the funds for the project, they require you to get a bank guarantee. You've gotten a bank guarantee submitted to the company. So while waiting for the company to release the payment to the bank, at the same time, the bank also have a structure of, giving you, releasing the payment to you in milestone, like 10%, which is at the end, at the completion of the project. And this project is structured to be completely executed within the space of 6 months. Now, once the payment is released to the bank will also have to go through some other process of start disbursing funds to you based on what you have done. And the project is not going to be executed with materials that are sourced locally. You have to import, which takes time, to produce, shipping, clearing, and all that. So if you have a document, if you have how will I put it? If you have something like this, how do you get funding, maybe to start up this project before the bank do all the things they need to do after the clients must have released payment to the bank? With all the guarantee, with the payment, with the guarantee you've gotten from the bank and the purchase order from the client, given to you. So what is there any way to get funding, to start implementation of this project before the releasing of the funds and the bank, disbursing to the organization? So that's just what I wanted to find out.
Okay, so there are financial institutions that speak to that. So I also need to understand, is it a manufacturing project or is it a service delivery project? If it's a manufacturing project,
it's
right?
something that has to do with manufacturing, but it's not locally. So you have to manufacture some products, then you deliver to you bring them in and start. You have to, you're not doing the finished product. It's not like a finished product, but part of it will be manufactured outside, and they come in, then you start from there, like setting up then installations.
If I understand you correctly, is what you do is more like rebranding. When you brand it when it gets into the country locally. So if it is branding, it is your business is.
It's not branding. Let me just say, for instance, let's say for instance you are given a contract to to supply let's say furnitures. Okay, and those furnitures you need to maybe in large quantity, and you need to for the design you have, you are actually producing your own machine, to produce the component that will make the doors. You are producing it for yourself, but the machine is not in Nigeria, and you need to buy raw materials to be delivered to the factory where your machine is, and the machine will be used to produce the raw materials to the what you want to bring in and start assembling, not branding per se. You have to bring those things in and start coupling them, before the project is executed. That's the process.
Okay, I'm trying
Like
to
really
understand.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand very well. I know that what you're asking for is a bridge financing, but however, I need to understand it properly. That's why I'm asking this question. Because if it is to pay for the raw materials that you would assemble locally, then you need to go to finance houses to get trade finance or commercial banks to get trade financing. But if it is for the machineries that you would need locally for the assembling of those products, if you need a machine to assemble those products, then you can approach the likes of InfraCredit. Also raise funds from the pension. They are the only ones that have access to our pension funds in Nigeria. So you can reach out to Bank of Industry or Infrastructure, InfraCredit, or the Infrastructure Bank of Nigeria for them to raise the funds for you. But one thing I forgot to say at the beginning of this conversation is that, please, if you want to source for funding, please start early. Start 24 to 18 months before your execution. If you are expanding, pivoting, or you are you're about to start up, you're starting up a project after your proof of concept. Why this is important is because you will find out, unless you have put in your operational integrity intact from day one, you will find that there will be back and forth, and you don't want to be caught off guard during that back and forth and get wary of the financial institutions and be forced to take very expensive funds because you need to implement to meet your demand. Thank you.
Okay, so depending on how much our faculty is willing, I'm thinking we just end this session at 12:15 or 12:20. So I don't know this much questions we have. Okay, for the research question, the person gave further information. It's the research on solid state batteries. That's funding for research.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
What I would do is I would send to, I don't know who I'll send it to now. I will send, if you can provide me with your email address, maybe I can send you the resources for grant providers for this particular, it's more about going to clean energy. You're trying to get, you're trying to do clean energy and environmental friendly products, if I'm trying to deduce. Okay, so I will send you some list of grants
Okay.
in the sector.
I think she just left the meeting, and I think that would be because of network. Yes, because the question was from Mohammed Adama. So we could receive that on behalf of her, or we could, we'll send her email over to you. We'll forward that email to you. So you could help her with that list. Okay, so we have a question from Elwin. Elwin, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good morning all. Good morning, Madam Victoria. Yes. My name is Elwin. The COVID-19 restructuring of loan that we are giving before the pandemic that affected a lot of businesses. So we had some challenge that there's a fund we received from the CBN, and we have written to the bank for a restructuring of our loan in interest and moratorium, and it had been very difficult for them to attend to our request. So I don't know, is there any other way we can do that so that it can help us alleviate us.
Hello.
I hope you heard me.
Yes, I heard most of it. You want to restructure a facility that is from CBN, and your bankers are not giving you quick response and feedback. So what I would suggest is you write another request for restructuring, giving them a proper justification. Hello, giving them a proper justification on how the pandemic impacted your business with figures. Your demand decreased by this amount, cost of raw material increased by this percentage. Although you've increased your price or you did not increase your price by this percentage, this is how your bottom line has been affected. Then at the end, you write CC, Development Finance, Central Bank of Central Bank of Nigeria, DFI, Central Bank of Nigeria. The banks will answer you with immediate alacrity.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
So we're rounding up in the next 5 minutes. So I don't know if we'll be able to take all questions and hands that are up. From the chats, there are really not much questions. Okay. Okay, let's just go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. Good afternoon, Matt, and good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, the session has really been enlightening. So my question is really just simple. We are a laundromat that is located in a student environment, and so when we began, we didn't have all the money we needed to get all the equipment. So we decided to just test the concept and see how it is going to work. And so we've tested the concept for 2 years now. We are sure that this thing is going to move, but we do not have the funds to get the equipment. So I want to know, does Bank of Industry or, what other kinds of financial institutions would fund, would help us, raise money to get the industrial facilities that we need? And then we didn't do a business name registration or limited liability registration. So I want to know if we got that all wrong by not doing that. So that's my question.
So you've been operating as, you have not been operating as a legal entity.
Yes.
Okay. Please, let me just use this as an opportunity to say to everyone, once you get to that aha moment, that moment in the middle of the night, you say, yes, I got it. This is what I want to do. Please register a business, do your legal registration. Use what we call accounts by association. Let it, even if it's an initiative, just have account, even if you have not registered it, have an initiative account by association, so that you can have all your inflow recorded and your expense properly accounted for outside your personal bank account. So as it were, you have not run a business in the eyes of the law. But what I would say is that for a laundromat, if it is owned by a woman, it also depends on how much you are seeking. If it is owned by a woman, the woman can access funds from Bank of Industry under the gender loan. only if you have 50% of the business owned by a woman. Other than that, you can approach some venture capitalists, because I mean, I think I know of 2 VC firms that are interested in the educational sector, projects within the institutions, educational institutions. But I don't know what their position is given this pandemic. I will find out and circle back. But if it's owned by a female, you can approach Bank of Industry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. May we go ahead, please? We'll be rounding up in 3 minutes. Mary.
Hello. Good day, ma. Good day, Prof. Good day, Arenze. Madam Victoria, thank you for your time and the insight you've given us. Please, I want to find out more about the researching grant. Like, for example, if my company wants to take us not Apple, which is Azanza Kagena, we find that because my PhD is in sciences, so I have a bit of a knowledge. Like, if my company now wants to take up this product to research, to take it as a further research, though it's being used, people just buy it roughly, but like, say the company wants to take up research with a university, to ask the university, to research it further on its medicinal values, medicinal valuable contents, and all that on local issue, on local things, like in Nigeria, certain marker diseases that are there, to see if it's useful. Who is supposed to apply for the grant? Is it my company, or do I give the university, or is it the university I'm working with that would apply for the grant, or do my company apply for the grant on behalf of the researcher, working now in partnership with the researcher in the university?
Okay, I'm trying to get your question right. Thank you
My
very much.
question is, okay, it's like Snot Apple. It's called Azanza Kagena. Snot Apple is from my area, local government, Tula, and I have a company, but I realized that usually it has scientific value, but it's not been investigated so much because of its local area. But on the market, it's being sold even on eBay. People just buy it like that with a lot of, sometimes some of the, assumptions people could be hyped as a scientific person. So I'm thinking, as my company wants to go into bringing this on the market, but we want to innovate this product. And the idea is now, okay, to work with a researcher, to be able to get a university, like now I'll go to University of Gombe. I will ask the Dean of Science, I say, I want a researcher that will research on the medicinal value of this snot apple. So now if I'm applying for the grant, is it I that will will apply for the grant on behalf of the researcher to do the research for us? Because it's my company that is leading, like for pioneering this thing. It's just that we are taking the researcher with the university in partnership to research this product, or do I leave it to the researcher to apply for the grant? Can I now, as a company, go to you and say, okay, we have this product. This is our research grant. This is our plan. We are looking for a research grant in partnership with Gombe State University to do the research on this. Is it possible? Or how does it?
So based on the research grant side, I do not have so much knowledge about it, but however, based on my interactions with researchers, one thing I know is that it's mostly the schools that are giving, the universities that are giving the grant, not even the researcher himself.
Yes,
so it will be that you have an understanding or a contract with the school for a particular product, but you have to also bring your capital to the table, inclusive of the grants, so that you can have some form of right over that innovation. But
okay, you know what I'm saying is the university is not interested, but it's a product my company wants to innovate to bring to the market for greater, for greater resource and all that. So now it's the whole thing is to innovate. We need scientific information on it, to go into that innovation, to make it into a product higher than what it is now. So the idea is, okay, I'm thinking now is to approach the university and say, okay, but we don't have the money to put in. So what I'm thinking is, can we now apply, my company applied for a grant and say, okay, this is our idea. This is a product that is sold like this, but we are working in partnership with Gombe State University, a Department of Science, for biochemistry or something, to do this research on this compound in this way. Or there's nothing like that. It can be worked out like that.
Okay, so you can approach innovation hubs, mostly from Vegnigan. So it is pronounced Vegnigan, but
okay. Excuse me, madam. Excuse me, ma'am. Is it okay if we contact you later, if we can have your email so that we email you and get the right contacts straight up? Is that possible, please?
Arinze, is it possible for me to type in my email address? Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, so I've just sent in my, I've just typed in my email address so that
we can see it.
So you can reach me by email. And also, I would like to say that if you want to raise funds from Bank of Industry, you can come to Bureau Investment and Trust, and we will walk you through the process of fundraising.
Arize, please, could you get us Madam's email? I can't see it here.
I'll drop it on the WhatsApp for you, Madam Kudi.
Okay, ma. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying back, and it's been an honor speaking to you all. And I am based in Lagos. I'm based in Lagos, and my office is at Victoria Island. I've also put in my official email address if you want to contact me for official business. But here, I'm here in my personal capacity. Thank you very much.
Thank you.